Thank you so much.
And later in the hour, we will be speaking with Mike Dougherty, who's the Community Relations Rep of the Behavioral Health section at Henry Mayo Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And how was your weekend?
Good. Excellent.
Very
As
good.
usual.
Yes.
But the week got really hot, didn't it? And
goodness.
yesterday was, I was driving around doing my house calls, and it was 108. So got a little hot. When I finally got to the hospital, it was about 105. So, but I think I'm just used to it now, because sometimes, in the middle of my drive, I'll turn the air conditioner on. Isn't that odd? And then I'll look at the thermometer.
Whoops.
So it doesn't, you get acclimated, I think, in Santa Clarita to this hot, dry weather. And I just don't think it bothers me as much. But, for our seniors who are on water pills or have some diseases, problems related to their heart or their kidneys, hydration is very important. And that's a fine line, as you know, trying to maintain that. And, it gets pretty tough. And, for our elder seniors especially listening to the show, just remember that, be real careful during these times. I think even though it's September 1st tomorrow, we still, have here in Santa Clarita are known to have, really warm weather, which I'm not.
Even into October.
Oh, and how about November?
November, that's true.
We had that dry weather a few years ago when they had had to cancel our marathon here because there were fires.
Yes, that's true.
And that might be year round now for those, but we get pretty hot here.
Well, it's interesting. Last week I was in Las Vegas. It was very pleasant there. It was not hot.
Wow.
Can you believe that? Although I had a miserable time. I had calamari the first night I got there, and I got food poisoning. At least that's what you had diagnosed it after hearing my symptoms.
And seemingly now
that's
what it was.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah. So it really made it an enjoyable trip.
And the other thing the other thing you suggested when I came home was, I know you hate this, Barb, but you have to drink lots of Gatorade.
But
I am not a Gatorade drinker.
But it made a difference?
Yes, it did make a difference.
Yeah,
it did.
And, it doesn't have to be Gatorade. That's a brand. And Powerade, Power Burst, and, there's a lot of them out there that...
Well, that's all I had in the house.
Do the job.
Because that's what Russ was drinking.
Yeah.
Gatorade. Yuck.
But it seems to work, and as I tell everyone on the show that dehydration is a part of an illness that is described in Harrison's the textbook of internal medicine in a half a page. Out of 1,200 pages, it's a half a page. Dehydration.
Whoa.
So it's not so much recognized as a problem, but it certainly contributes to your problems. And when you rehydrate yourself, you can feel better, and still be sick from the illness and the problem. But once you get rehydrated, you'll start to feel better.
That's true. And Terry, you're going to be putting on an Alzheimer's walk?
That's correct. On September 17th, in Bridgeport Park, we have Walk for Alls, a walk that will benefit our local services and programs here in Santa Clarita.
And I'm sure you will have lots and lots and lots and lots of water available.
That is a staple of every walk. You want to make sure that people are properly hydrated.
Yes.
And then in particular, when you're doing a walk in an area where the temperatures can, get a little high even during the morning hours, you want to make sure everybody's comfortable. So water, a staple of every walk.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let's talk about the services that you provide with your association, with your group, Alzheimer's, because it's a problem disease right now. And as we live longer, we're seeing more and more individuals getting that diagnosis, and it does change their quality of life, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, right now in the United States, you have 5 million people that are living with Alzheimer's disease or dementia. That's a staggering number. And as our baby boomer generation ages, that number is only going to increase. In California, we have around over 600,000 people that have Alzheimer's. And then the other part of it is that Alzheimer's isn't a disease that just affects the individual. It impacts the family. It impacts the community. So you have, 5 million people in the United States that have Alzheimer's, 15 million that are caregivers. These are unpaid caregivers, family members just somebody that stepped up to take care of somebody that's dealing with this disease, for which at this time there is no cure.
And
that's amazing that there is no cure. Well, just like cancer, there's no cure for cancer either.
Correct. I mean, we have brilliant scientists around the world that are working on, ways to, find a cure, looking at things to do. But at this point, there is no cure. And so what we do at Alzheimer's Greater Los Angeles is we do work with families and individuals to try and improve their quality of life. Mm-hmm. We provide free programs and services that includes care counseling, resources, support groups, education. Basically, we want an informed community. We want informed individuals, because the more information and the more education you have, the better you can deal with it. And the other part of it is that you also learn to realize that you're not alone. And, and with these diseases, that is such a part of the difficulty, is thinking that you're alone, that you're the only family that's dealing with this. And when you're able to, maybe go to one of our support groups and then sit around with 8 other people that, have Alzheimer's in their family, you suddenly realize, okay, there are others that are dealing with this. There are others that can provide, some kind of answer to a question that I may have, that I thought that I was the only one living with it.
Well, it's interesting because the movie star who died over the weekend,
Gene Wilder.
Yes, Willy Wonka guy, Chocolate Factory. He died of complications from Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and in their choice, the family choice there was that they did not want to reveal that he had Alzheimer's. He did not want to reveal that he had Alzheimer's, that he had been diagnosed 3 years ago. And that is, again, it's a private, personal decision. Mm-hmm. But in the end, they did reveal that that's what took him. And so you don't necessarily die from Alzheimer's. It is the issues surrounding it.
Complications.
The complications, yeah.
Absolutely. And, one of the biggest fears for especially the baby boomers, you forget where you leave your car keys. You forget an appointment that you had, and all of a sudden you're thinking to yourself, do I have Alzheimer's disease? So these are the fears going on right now, and many times it's not even the beginnings of it. But, there are family members and individuals who are sitting and listening to our show who even this morning said, could this be the beginning? And it's a fear that I think so many in this community and around our country feel, I have to be mindful of this.
Absolutely. I mean, forgetfulness, it just goes with aging. I deal with it. It's like I can't remember a name as quickly as I did, 20 years ago. That happens. It's just a normal part of aging. But when you have memory loss that disrupts your life, that's different. When you forget, you pick up the keys and you have no idea
why you picked them up.
Or what's a key? What is its use? Why do you need this? That's the difference. When you have difficulty planning or solving problems, that might be a difference. When you forget how to do very familiar tasks, that might be different. Mm-hmm. When there's confusion with dates or time, that might be the difference. And so we encourage people, if you feel that there's anything that's not quite right, go in, get tested, get diagnosed. Because if you are diagnosed, you're able to, we don't have a cure. However, there are things where we might be able to improve your quality of life. And, exercise, best thing you can do. I mean, it's like, we hear it over and over and over again, right. But a good diet, a good Mediterranean diet, and good exercise, particularly aerobic exercise, it's just gold for the brain. And so you want to be living a healthy lifestyle. And again, you can't do anything to eliminate it, but you might be able to stave off the disease of, and stay. There's normally 3 stages. And so you might be able to stay in one of the earlier stages longer if you've done some healthy living.
And stay functional within your family and as well as in the community.
Absolutely.
And,
yes.
And it is not an easy diagnosis to make. Physicians, when we diagnose kidney disease or heart problems, diabetes even.
That's
it's not
specific.
that. Yeah, that's specific. It's a lot easier, but when it comes to having memory problems, that becomes a little bit more difficult. But as you were saying, though, Terry, there are things that as caregivers we can start to recognize in our loved ones that could be the clue to say it's a problem. Typically, the individual might tend to ignore some of the signs that are out there, but the people around their loved ones typically will see things that are going on that say better get some help. Driving and getting lost, leaving the kettle on the stove and not turning it off. These are all the things these are things and more that can point to a person starting to have problems. And when that happens, yes, it's nice to start to do things to slow it down if you can. Doing mind games. We're going to have I think next week we're going to have at the senior center, I'll be with a computer teacher, and we're going to do at lunchtime, we're going to do some mind games with the seniors. These are ongoing, even if you don't have memory problems, things that you should be doing to make sure that your brain stays in shape. And I think that's an important part. Exercise, as you mentioned, but doing mind games, playing chess, reading the newspaper, challenging how you think. And does it work? I think it does for sure, but you have to, and there's no one right now that can say whether it does or doesn't, but I think there's no doubt you need to start doing something to try to put the brakes on what's going on with you, so why not?
Well,
forever learning, yes.
What is the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia?
Let's say that dementia is like an umbrella. Okay, so for example, you mentioned cancer. Okay, there are various cancers. So Alzheimer's falls into one of the dementias. There's vascular dementia, and so it is the dementia that impacts the most people. So it is one of the dementias that can affect people.
Yeah, that's the broad part of the definition is dementia. That's the whole field that we're talking about. Within the realm of dementia, there is Alzheimer's. And so there are different causes for memory problems, but one of those within the field of dementia is Alzheimer's. So
I thought it was the other way around.
Because you can have a stroke, vascular problems, and things like that, kidney problems, heart problems, blah, 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 even diabetes, and you can start developing memory problems, but it's not so much put underneath, it's called dementia, but it's not necessarily under the umbrella of Alzheimer's. So there's a difference, but it is under, if you were to have be writing a paragraph, it would lead off dementia, and under that would be one of the little areas would be Alzheimer's.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So for example, you have
learn something new every day, don't you?
You can have cancer. You can have breast cancer. You can have lung cancer.
Yes.
Various cancers. Same thing. It is one of the dementias.
Interesting. You mean you can have a dementia of a different kind other than mind?
Well, for example, you can have dementia if you have, and this affects many seniors, with prescriptions. Something something can impact, and then suddenly you're having memory issues. And so, yes.
That's kind of like Parkinson's then.
Yeah, there's different
forms of Parkinson's.
Yes.
Which I really did not know. I thought Parkinson's was shaking hands and shaking head. But my husband has Parkinson's of the legs, which just absolutely astounded me.
More astounding is that we have these neurologic problems like Alzheimer's, and it's expected in this day and age that we are in Star Trek 6, that we can diagnose everything, treat everything, and that it's easy. Medicine is easy. It is not. I still say that we know more about outer space than we know about the mind. And to the studies, when I first went into medicine, we just got CAT scans. And now we have not only MRIs, but we have something called fMRIs, functional MRIs. So these are all developing technologies that will help us out in the long run. But, it's really nice to say, oh yeah, we got a disease and we're going to cure it, but it doesn't work that way. You know, how long it will take to really get a handle on Alzheimer's and dementias, I don't know. Same with cancers. I don't know.
And where you live also impacts. If you are in a community that does not have a neurologist, you may have to travel hours to get services.
Amazing.
Yes. So you know, we're quite fortunate that we do have Santa Clarita, and this community is committed to dealing with issues. And so, you know, that's why we have an office here, because we know that we need to service people.
And as a primary care physician and internist who does geriatrics, you know, I'm not a neurologist, but I'm familiar with, you know, decades of practice and understanding and seeing patients to make that diagnosis. Confirmation I get for any of my neurologic problems, so I send them off to a neurologist. But you know, if you are hearing this and living in a community that's a small community, you don't have a neurologist, you know, and you're worried about your loved one, you know, you can still see your primary care person, and they can do some testing that will help to screen that individual to maybe point them in the direction and say, yeah, there could be something going on here. So we, you know, it's nice to have the big time people, you know, specialists out there doing our, you know, making our diagnosis, but the screening and early part of this comes from the primary care physician.
Interesting. Terry, how long have you been involved with this program, and what moved you to go into the Alzheimer's?
Well, I'm
area?
actually a retired television producer that wanted to make a difference. And so, like many seniors, I felt that I still had enough that I could launch another career. And I decided that the nonprofit world could benefit from my services.
Thank you.
So I began with a research institution that was doing research into Alzheimer's. And I was fascinated, and I realized that this was impacting my community, my baby boomer generation. And then I met people with the Alzheimer's Greater Los Angeles organization and just connected with everybody and thought, this is where I want to go and do my life's work. And so for me, it's very satisfying to be involved with the programs and services that we're offering.
That's wonderful. And I guess, you know, your expertise also filters down to your entire family.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, everybody I touch is somebody that can be educated about this disease. Right. I tend to live a very visible lifestyle, and I'm out and about all the time. And I'm excited about the work I do, and I'm excited about what we're accomplishing. And so I'm a great ambassador for Alzheimer's Greater Los Angeles.
That's dedication.
So
that is dedication.
If someone wants to go to the walk on September the 17th, how do we get a hold of you to get more information?
Best thing to do is to go onto our website, and that is alzgla.org. Okay. And we also have a helpline in case people want to learn more about our organization or services. That's toll-free 844-HELP-ALZ, 844-HELP ALZ.
And what are those numbers?
That is 844-435-7259.
Thank you very much. Yes, I hate to see that when first three numbers and then it spells a word, and I'm thinking, oh no, don't do that to me.
I can't retain it either, so that's why I have a little cheat sheet in front of me with the number.
Well, this is terrific. Thank you so much, Terry, for joining us today, and hopefully you'll come back.
I would love to. I thank you for everything that you're doing in the community and for helping us get the message out there about the importance of Alzheimer's.
And that's September 17th.
Bridgeport Park.
Bridgeport Park. Thank you very much, Terry.
Thank you.
I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.